Hello, welcome medical terminology students. This is chapter 2 of medical terminology. So if you go back to chapter 1, we gave the basics of medical terminology and the different components that a medical term can have in order to create that big term. We talked about prefixes. Prefixes are going to come in the beginning of the word. We talked about root words or combining forms. A root word is the main component, I guess you could say, of the word. So that's going to be what the word is really talking about or describing or defining. The combining form is that root word, literally just with a vowel attached onto it to either combine it with another root word or combine it with a suffix. And all the combining vowel does is it just makes it so you can pronounce the word easier. It doesn't change the definition of the word. And then we finally talked about suffixes. Suffixes are going to fall at the end of the word. There are different components of prefixes or different categories of prefixes. There are different categories of suffixes, and you can find all of that information in your textbook. So now we continue on with medical terminology and kind of look at the words as a whole. We continue building these words through defining the prefix, defining the root word, and defining the suffix. So let's begin. Let's see. Sorry, page 16 in your textbook starts the chapter. So we look at the the actual word, and we can see here that we have a prefix, a root word, and then a suffix. The way you actually are going to define the medical term is you're always going to start with the suffix. You're going to start at the very end. So you can see the element identification order starts with the blue, the suffix. And then we're going to go to the root word and then the prefix for the most part. So this one here, we go inflammation of the heart, but what area of the heart? So it really means inflammation around the heart because inside. Endo means in. So inflammation inside the heart. It will make sense as we keep going on. This is just one example, and it talks about it on that page 16. So if we look at the next example on page 16, it says endocardium. Endocardium. We are going to look at the suffix. Means structure. So endo means inside, a structure that lines the inside of the heart. When you put it all together, that's how we're reading it. Let's look at the other term that we have on our slide. We have hemorrhage. So hemorrhage has only a combining form, which has the root word and the vowel, and a suffix. So when we look at it, we're still going to go with the suffix first. You're going to read that suffix first. We're going to identify it first, and that means flow profusely. So rage means flow profusely. Heme means blood. Hemo still means blood. It's just has an O attached to it. So when it's put with rage, it actually is pronounced hemorrhage and not hemorrhage. So hemorrhage, starting with that suffix and going to that root word, means profusely flowing of blood or flowing profusely of blood. It just means you're bleeding out a lot. As you keep going on, These will make sense. Just remember to go with the suffix first and then work your way around to the root words or the prefixes when you're looking at the definitions of them. In addition to reading the words and the components and how to break it down and then build it back up, we also have different components of plurals and then pronunciations with the plurals. On page 17 of your book, there is actually a really nice table that has the different types of plural endings that you may see. These literally, they're just memorized. So the first example that we have is axilla. Axilla, it means armpit. And when you add an E at the end of axilla, it's pronounced axillae, and it means more than one armpit. Thorax is the next example that they give you. Thorax meaning the chest, one thorax, two thoraces. So you can see they're pronounced differently, but they have the same meaning of the chest. It's just thorax is one chest, thoraces is two. Excuse me. So let's take a look in our book. The other one that they talk about is diagnosis. Diagnosis is one word, is one diagnosis, one condition. But when you do diagnoses, then you have two conditions. One diagnosis, two diagnoses. So pronunciation, it talks about the different pronunciation. There is some pronunciation guides like in your textbook that you can play in order to hear these words. Otherwise, you can look them up on Google and have Google play them. So type them into Google and have it pronounce it for you back so you understand the different pronunciations. But there's different ones, kind of like ganglion is one, ganglia is more than one. So practice your pronunciation. It will help out. There will be some assignments in Connect that you will have to actually listen to the word and then type it out. All right, let's go to the next section. The next session, talking about precision in communication. And that just has to do with making sure that we have the right stuff and the right components and the correct pronunciations, because there are some pronunciations that sound the same or sound similar and mean two totally different things. The example that they give you is hypotension versus hypertension. So obviously we take a look at the end of the root, the suffix, and we see that ION means a condition. So this is some sort of condition of what? So we go back to the front. We're going to actually go to the prefix. So a condition of, it's basically condition of pressure that's low is how it's going. But if we go condition of low pressure and go from the suffix to the prefix to the root word, we have a condition of low blood pressure. And on the bottom, we have hypertension. Again, at the very end, we have ION. That means condition of excessive or high blood pressure. That's how we read our terms and build them. But if I told the physician that a patient has hypotension, which is low blood pressure, when in fact they have high blood pressure, and I meant to say hyper, that could affect the patient care. So we have to make sure that our communication is accurate. Sorry about that flip there. So this is just if you want to do it, you can do it. Just a review of the singular versus plural forms. Where can you find this information? It's still on page 17 of your textbook if you wanted to figure that out or do this assignment. It's not required, just fun. And then we have some pronunciations and meanings. So let's talk about these pronunciations and meanings. So we have costovertebral, pyrexia, abdominal, epididymitis, that's a mouthful, thoracotomy, hypertension, gastroenterology, and hemorrhage. Notice how the pronunciation flows with those combining vowels in there, like gastroenterology. Thoracotomy. If I didn't have that combining vowel with thoracotomy, it would be thoracotomy. Yeah, thoracotomy, but we have the thoracotomy in there with the combining vowel. That is it for chapter 2. It's a pretty short chapter. If you have questions or need help with this, please don't hesitate to reach out.